We are here on MENSCHlife. I'm David Grossman, and we have with us Dr. Michael Laitman. He's from the B'nai Baruch Kabbalah Education Center. Welcome. Yes. We're delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
And you were giving a talk in Toronto last night. You had a full house, I understand.
Yeah. It was a full house. I'm very pleased with it. In Toronto, I've been giving lectures since 1986 or 7, almost once a year. And every time, you know, it improves every time.
Yes.
This time was really major progress, I would say, in terms of quality as well.
Yes. I heard you had about 400 people there last night.
Yeah.
And you were doing a live broadcast.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
We have 2 TV channels in Israel, besides being on the internet on Kabbalah.info. So it was broadcast live on the TV in Israel.
Excellent. I heard there were millions of viewers or something.
Well, I don't know. But all over the world, if you sum it all up, yes, for sure. Because we have our own network through the internet.
That's wonderful. So what's happening now with Kabbalah? Is there like a resurgence?
There is a resurgence, but there's also a resurgence that is not classic. But we're dealing with classic Kabbalah. In our Kabbalah Academy, we have approximately 2 million students worldwide. We teach in 27 languages, the center being in Israel. And the teaching is what we do. And those who want to get into this network, it's free. All of our material is presented free at Kabbalah.info again.
So you do webinars and things,
we do
education
webinars,
online.
we do Kabbalah TV lessons, we have a learning center, the Kabbalah Education Center that you introduced before. We have courses, 3 or 4 semesters, and graduate programs for students who want to become more serious.
So when you say classic Kabbalah, what does that mean? I mean, do you have to be an Orthodox Jew to...
Classic in the sense that it doesn't sell red strings, holy water, and stuff like that.
Okay.
There are no celebrities or anything like that. It's just studying by authentic sources of the Zohar, of the Kabbalah, you know, the book of Zohar, the writings of the Ari, the writings of Ashlag, Yehuda Ashlag.
And can anybody benefit?
Yes, today, yes. Because Kabbalah is appearing specifically to the entire world today. And the role of Israel being a light of the nations is precisely in us conveying the wisdom of Kabbalah to the world.
So even non-Jews can benefit?
Yeah. Yes. It's written, they shall all know me from the least of them to the greatest of them. My house shall be a house of prayer to all the nations.
Okay. So I understand that the Kabbalah that Dr. Laitman is teaching, that it can help to solve some of today's world problems, some of the challenges. And I'm going to ask you about that. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're here with Dr. Laitman, and we're talking about Kabbalah and this organization which is called the B'nai Baruch Kabbalah Education Center. That's the name of the organization. So we see that there are a lot of crazy things happening in the world. We're still dealing with the Arab-Israeli conflict. We see uprisings in Arab countries. How can Kabbalah help?
Kabbalah is appearing precisely because of that, because we've come to a point where we are colliding with the whole of nature, and that's why we feel so many crises on so many different levels: in ecology, family, education, illnesses, financial crises. etc. And the reason for it is that our ego, the human ego, has so grown that we've become in complete conflict with nature. And it was written 2,000 years ago about that in Kabbalah. It even said that at the end of the 20th century it would all explode.
It gave a specific time period. It said at the end of the 20th century.
1995.
Okay,
Actually.
so it said, so we're a few years behind schedule. It's been happening.
Yeah. Yeah, we are behind.
We are behind. So what can we do? We
need, first of all, to learn the general law of nature, which is the law of love and consideration and giving. And we need to become similar to that law. Otherwise, we'll still be in conflict with nature, and we'll keep suffering from such events, which are only now beginning to surface. Kabbalah teaches us what could happen. It tells us in advance. It tells us what the general law is of reality, the global and integral reality that's now appearing. And we have to adjust ourselves to it so that we also become united in accord with the whole of nature, which is connected.
Okay, now, it seems in some ways that religion itself is in contradiction to these ideas, because on the one hand you have Israelis who feel that it's their right to be living in certain parts of Israel, and then you have the Palestinians or the Arabs who cannot accept the idea of a Jewish state. So
true. All over the world we have conflicts between peoples and nations and interests. Without bringing everyone into some kind of equilibrium, we won't be able to resolve it. That's why Kabbalah is appearing, because it brings men above the boundaries, above religions, above all the differences. It shows everyone what is the general law of nature, which presses us to be united. And in that there will be no concessions. We'll have to do it.
There was an idea that
and by the way, as part of the Kabbalah Academy, we have people from all religions and belief systems studying with us. Just recently, we had a congress in Berlin, in France, where we have upcoming congresses in Italy, in Spain, in the summer in Moscow. I have many students who are Palestinians, Iranian students, and we feel very good.
Now, but isn't there this idea in Kabbalah that you need to be a strictly observant Jew, and you have to be a certain age and stage in your life in order to learn?
No. All of that was actually distributed by Kabbalists for 2,000 years when they were trying to hide Kabbalah. Because Kabbalah had to wait for the world to be in this kind of global interconnection. And now it's appearing to help humanity also become globally interconnected.
There was a rabbi who did some of the translations of some of the important texts, as I understand it, Rabbi Berg from the Kabbalah Center. And it's become accessible and popular, of course, to celebrities and different things.
Yeah, that's popular Kabbalah, if you can call it Kabbalah.
Okay.
Because Kabbalah means you study according to the authentic sources, which are books of the Ari, the study of the 10 Sfiot. You have to study very seriously. You study in Hebrew. Even though I have students from 60 or 70 countries, they study in Hebrew. You can't study Kabbalah from another source. And there's no selling of all kinds of objects.
Okay. Now,
There's only study.
בדרך הלימוד מתחילים
And through the
להרגיש
study, you begin to
את
feel
כללות הטבע, את הכוח
the
האדם.
whole of nature, the general force.
Okay, now I understand that Rabbi Laitman recently met with Irina Bokova, the Director General from UNESCO, United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organizations. And I want to ask you what you were talking to her about in the context of education, but after the break, because we have to take a short break. We'll be right back. Okay, be right back. Okay, we're back on MENSCHlife with Rabbi Laitman, and we're talking about B'nai Baruch Kabbalah Education Center. Now, I was asking you, Rabbi, about your meeting with Irina Bokova. What are your feelings with education?
Yeah, she's the General Director of UNESCO and the United Nations, and we're working on a joint program of education for the younger generation. From 6 to about 16 or 18, which are doing so well in the Kabbalah Academy, and it's an example for the world. So she was very impressed with it. And primarily, the education is for the global and integral world. That's the orientation of the direction, because you need to build a global human being who knows how to connect to the whole world today. That's the uniqueness of our teachings. A person who is able to connect to everyone and understand everyone in this new kind of world that we have today. So they welcomed us. And we also attend congresses in the United Nations, conventions, and in other countries as well, where they have these conferences. We also are going to publish books on education through UNESCO. Yeah.
That's terrific.
And the wisdom of Kabbalah is just beginning to manifest itself as providing an answer to the crises that we're experiencing today, and that there really is no other solution.
Okay, so, and now you have free education available for people all over the world.
Yes, we have free. First of all of the teaching of Kabbalah is free. It's online. You can go in there from any country through Kabbalah.info, whether in English or in other languages. We also have physical study groups in many U.S. and Canada cities, such
LA, New York,
LA,
Toronto.
New York, Toronto, Boston, Chicago, St. Louis. Of course, the Kabbalah Education Center, which is an online academy.
So if people go online to Kabbalah.info,
yes,
they'll be able to find
they'll be able to find
everything, local
everything,
offices.
the local offices, the online courses, all the free material, the free download material,
right?
Everything they need.
And of course, they can also order some books if they want to. For example, we have a couple of books here. Kabbalah Revealed, The Ordinary Person's Guide to a More Peaceful Life, by Rav Michael Laitman, and another one, Awakening to Kabbalah, The Guiding Light of Spiritual Fulfillment.
Yeah, those are just two of 20-something books that we have in English, which they can also order through Kabbalah.info. We have an online store as well.
And you just had a...
But again, all the material is also available for free.
Okay, and you just had a congress in New Jersey?
Yeah, we just had a congress in New Jersey with approximately 1,000 people attending for 3 days. It was a beautiful weekend. People came from all over the United States and Canada, but also from Latin America, from other countries in Europe, Eastern Europe, Asia, several people from Asia. It's a chance for everyone, you know, from all over the world to get together.
It's wonderful. It sounds like a fantastic initiative.
Yeah, and I also want to say that although the lessons are given in Hebrew, there's simultaneous interpretation into 7 languages as the lesson goes on. So you can choose a language. As soon as you go in there, there's an interface where you can choose a language, English or, I don't know, German, French, Spanish, Russian, whatever. You just choose the language.
And does Dr. Laitman do the lessons, or is it a number of different teachers?
No, Dr. Laitman does the teaching
Yes.
of daily lessons. Not the Kabbalah Education Center. We have different teachers for that, authorized teacher by Dr. Laitman. And they do the teaching, and then the teaching is done in the source language, such as in English, for example. The lessons are in English. But the daily lessons of Dr. Laitman are all in Hebrew with simultaneous interpretation into 7 languages.
Well, I'm very pleased that you took the time to come by here today while you're in Toronto. Thank you very much for coming. And I look forward to reviewing some of the material and having some further dialogue, hopefully next time when you come back to Toronto as well. Thank you so much. We'll be back shortly. Thanks very much.